if you play golf, you know that feeling. I mean, the single most frustrating moment on a course isn't slicing a drive into the woods. It's standing over a 10-foot putt and just having no idea what to do.
Right.
We use these weird, vague terms. Oh, it's a pull putt, or, it's uphill, but it slides a bit. It feels like guesswork.
It is guesswork, and it's so frustrating because we're talking about physics here. It's geometry. So today, we're going to replace that vague feeling with a system.
A system. I like the sound of that.
It's called the baselines or Clockface method, and it gives you a precise numerical aiming point every single time.
So our mission for this deep dive is to take this thing that feels like an art and really turn it into a repeatable science.
Exactly. We're going to unpack the geometry of a tilted green. We'll define the fall line, which is a term people throw around a lot.
But don't always understand.
Right. And then we'll reveal a simple universal formula to calculate the break.
And this all starts with one key assumption, right?
It does. The whole system is built on this idea that within, say, 5 to 10 feet of the hole, the green is basically flat but tilted.
Okay, like a tilted tabletop.
A perfect description. Imagine a circular table with the hole right in the middle, and the whole thing is just tilted in one uniform direction.
Which is a pretty safe bet for most makeable putts. I mean, you're not usually putting over a giant ridge from 8 feet away.
Not usually. And if you are, well, maybe this model needs a little adjustment. But for most of the putts that matter, this flat but tilted clock face is the key that unlocks everything.
All right, so let's build this clock face. The hole is at the center. What are our axes?
The first and most important one is what golfers call the fall line. This is the 12 to 6 axis on our clock.
So straight uphill and straight downhill through the hole.
Precisely. It defines the tilt direction. The simplest way to think about it is, if you poured a bucket of water next to the hole, it would run straight down that 6 o'clock line.
Okay, that's the direction. How do we measure the steepness? How severe the tilt is?
That's what our sources call the fall line slope, or just FLS. And we measure it as a percentage.
A percentage of what?
It's the vertical drop over the horizontal run. So for example, if you measure 100 centimeters down the fall line, and the ground drops by 1 centimeter vertically.
That's a 1% FLS?
You got it. That percentage, that FLS, is the single most important piece of data you need. It defines how tilted that entire tabletop is.
But, I mean, how are you supposed to find that on the course? You can't bring a level out there during a tournament.
No, you can't. So this is where feel and estimation come in. You walk around the hole, you use your feet to feel where that steepest point is, that direct up and down line.
You're trying to find 12 and 6 o'clock just by walking around.
Exactly. And once you have that direction, you just have to estimate the steepness. Is it a gentle 1%, a moderate 2%, or a pretty severe 3%?
Okay, so once you've got that fall line, that 12-6 axis, everything else sort of falls into place.
It really does. Because now we have our other axis, which is perpendicular to it.
The 9 to 3 line, the side hill axis.
And here is the big insight. This is the key. The up and down steepness of the 12 to 6 fall line is exactly the same as the left to right tilt on the 9-3 side hill line.
Wait, say that again?
If you figure out your FLS is 2%, so it's a 2% slope straight uphill, then a putt directly from 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock has a 2% side slope.
So you've instantly defined the maximum amount of break you can possibly have on that green.
That's the shortcut. Find the steepest up and down line, get that FLS number, and you immediately know how much the hardest side hill putt is going to break.
And from there, all the other numbers on the clock, all 12 baselines, they're just fractions of that maximum break.
They are. Which brings us right into the cosine connection.
Right. This is where people might think it gets complicated.
But it's actually where it gets simple. The reason a putt from, say, 5 o'clock breaks less than one from 3 o'clock is because its tilt is just a fraction of that maximum FLS.
And that fraction is determined by how far away it is from that main 9 to 3 side hill line.
Think about it like this. A putt from 3 o'clock is pure side hill. You're fighting 100% of the tilt.
That's 100% of the FLS.
Right. But what about a putt from 5 o'clock? It's kind of halfway between a side hill putt and a straight uphill putt.
Okay, so part of your energy is going uphill, which means there's less force pushing it sideways.
Exactly. You're using the uphill component to fight the side slope component. And the geometry works out beautifully. A putt from 5 o'clock, which is 60 degrees away from the side hill axis.
Has how much tilt?
Exactly 50% of the maximum FLS. So if you have a 2% FLS, your 3 o'clock putt has a 2% side tilt, but your 5 o'clock putt only has a 1% side tilt.
So the closer you get to the 12-6 fall line, the less the ball's going to break sideways.
And you don't need a calculator. You just need to remember 4 numbers.
Okay, let's hear them.
Side hill putts at 9 and 3 o'clock, that's 100% tilt.
The max.
Straight putts at 12 and 6 have 0% tilt. No break.
Oh, obviously.
Then you have the ones that are kind of near side hill. The 2, 4, 8, and 10 o'clock putts. They have about 87% tilt.
Almost full break, but not quite.
And finally, the ones closest to the straight putts, 1, 5, 7, and 11 o'clock, have that 50% tilt.
Okay, so that's the geometry. But knowing my 5 o'clock putt has a 50% tilt doesn't tell me where to aim in, inches.
And that is the perfect transition.
Yeah.
We now shift from the geometry to the practical calculation.
The formula.
The one simple formula that, amazingly, works for every single baseline on that same clock face. You don't need to do separate math for a 4 o'clock putt versus a 2 o'clock putt.
Okay, I'm ready. What is it?
The break in inches that you aim for up the fall line is the fall line slope percentage divided by 2 times the distance of the putt in feet.
So FLS divided by 2 times distance. Let's talk about that divided by 2. Where does that come from?
That is the magic number. And it's crucial to understand it's an empirical number derived from testing on greens with a stimp meter reading of 10.
A standard green speed.
A standard green speed. And with a ball delivered at a smart touch pace, meaning it's just got enough speed to fall in the hole, maybe rolling 2 or 3 times a second when it gets there, that divisor of 2 is what translates the static geometry of the slope into the dynamic break of a rolling golf ball.
Without that, you'd just be calculating a height change, not a break.
You just have a number that doesn't mean anything for your aim. This factor bridges the gap.
Okay, let's use the example from the source material. A putt from the 5 o'clock baseline. The FLS for the whole green is 2%, and the putt is 7 feet long.
Perfect. So we take our formula. Break in inches equals.
The FLS, which is 2%, divided by 2 times the distance, which is 7 feet.
So that's 2 divided by 2 times 7, which is
7. So 7 inches. What does that mean?
It means your target, your start line, is aimed at a spot 7 inches up the fall line from the center of the cup. So 7 inches toward the 12 o'clock position.
And notice we didn't even use the 50% tilt number for the 5 o'clock putt in that calculation.
You don't have to. The universal formula takes care of all the geometry for you.
That's incredibly powerful. But it all hangs on that stimp 10 green speed. What happens if I'm playing in a tournament and the greens are lightning fast?
Great question. You have to adjust. The formula gives you the baseline read for a standard green. If they're faster, say stimp 11, the ball breaks more.
So you add more break.
You tip it about 10% more, so our 7-inch break becomes about 7.7 inches.
And if they're slow, like a wet day, stimp 9.
You discount it 10%, so the 7-inch break becomes more like 6.3.
So you're not guessing from scratch. You're just making a small proportional adjustment to a very solid baseline number.
Precisely. It gives you an exact line, and then you just adjust slightly for speed.
Okay, we have the geometry, we have the target, but I'm not a robot. I'm a human standing over the ball, and now we have to talk about things like ball above the feet and handedness.
We do. And this is a really interesting point. Does the player's stance change the math?
Well, does it?
No. The geometry is fixed. That 7-inch target is the same for a righty, a lefty, someone with an open stance, a closed stance. It doesn't matter. The physics are the physics.
But the feeling of the putt changes completely.
It does. And that's why we have to integrate this with the player's body and perception. This is section 4.
So first, let's quickly define uphill and downhill on the clock face.
It's pretty intuitive. Any putt on or below that 9 to 3 sidehill axis is considered uphill. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 o'clock.
And everything above it, 1, 2, 10, 11, 12, is generally downhill.
Right. Now let's talk about how it breaks relative to your feet.
Okay. As a right-hander, the ones that break away from me, left to right, those are the ones I hate.
Let's figure out why.
Yeah.
The fundamental rule is the ball always breaks towards the fall line. So towards 6 o'clock. Always.
Towards the low point.
Always. So for a right-hander, if you're on the right side of the clock from 12 o'clock down to 6, you're generally in a ball above the feet stance.
My feet are lower than the ball.
And since the ball is breaking towards 6 o'clock, it's also breaking towards your feet. That's a right to left break.
Got it. And by symmetry, if I'm on the other side of the clock, the 9 o'clock half.
Now you're in a ball below the feet stance. The break is still towards 6 o'clock, but now that's away from your seat.
Which is my dreaded left to right putt.
And the beautiful thing is, the symmetry holds for left-handers too. For any player, The break is always toward whichever foot is closer to that 6 o'clock low point.
So using terms like ball above feet is just a really effective way to translate the pure geometry into a feeling you can actually use.
That's it. It integrates handedness without messing up the calculation.
So if you put this all together, we have 8 different breaking putts, each with its own tilt percentage, its own uphill or downhill feel, and its own ball above or ball below feel.
Oh.
That sounds like a lot to practice.
It does, but you don't have to. I mean, the goal isn't to memorize 8 different putts. It's to train your eye to see the patterns.
Is there an efficiency shortcut?
Absolutely. The sources say you really only need to master 4 key putts to understand the symmetry of all 8.
Okay, which 4?
You focus on 2 key uphill putts and then their diagonal downhill opposites. So you should train the 4 and 5 o'clock putts.
Why those 2 specifically?
Because they represent the 2 main non-side hill break percentages. The 87% tilt line at 4 o'clock and the 50% tilt line at 5 o'clock. And they cover that core uphill feel.
And then you practice their opposites.
They're diagonal opposites on the clock,
Yep.
the 10 and 11 o'clock putts. If you can master the 4 o'clock uphill putt, your brain will automatically understand the 10 o'clock downhill putt.
It's the same break percentage, just flipped.
Flipped, uphill versus downhill, ball above versus ball below.
Yeah.
You master those 4, and you've basically mastered the entire clock face.
This really does take so much of the vagueness out of reading greens. It forces you to actually collect data instead of just going on a hunch.
And it boils down to just 3 skills you need on the green.
Yeah.
First, is the surface relatively flat? Second, where's my 12-6 fall line?
And third, how steep is it? What's my FLS percentage?
You get those 3 data points, and the rest is just applying the formula.
But, and this is a huge but, the sources really stress this. Even with the perfect geometric target, success still comes down to one thing.
Touch skill.
Your ability to deliver the ball at the exact right pace, to hit that spot, and take the break you've calculated.
The math gives you the line. Your feel, your touch dictates the speed you need to hold that line.
So this system provides really the most precise possible aiming point, but it raises a fascinating final thought for you to consider. The source material even defines a unit for this, that a 1% baseline tilt creates a 2.38-degree break angle.
That's how precise the geometry can get.
So the question is, does focusing too much on that math, on that perfect number, actually hurt the fluid, instinctive aiming that the best putters in the world have? Should this whole system be used as a way to train your eye, to just get you in the right ballpark? Or is the precise calculation itself the ultimate goal? It's something to think about the next time you're on a green and you see that clock face starting to take shape right under your feet.